Way, what's going on there? Good morning, fish keepers. Cam here from thefishroom.co.nz. We've done it again. We've made it to Friday. Let's be excited and do it in the dirt with coffee. Oh gosh, that's good. I like coffee a lot. All right. If you didn't see, we've got John sitting here waiting to go. So let's bring John up. Hi, John.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Good. Looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, good times. I'm far closer to the weekend than what you are, so that makes me happy.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. Good morning, Brian. How you doing? Oh, what do you know? Mr. Smartass Cameron with my haircut makes me look 14. Well, as long as it makes me look 14, it's a little bit different to you actually being 14, so that's okay.
Nice.
All right, so got a little bit of stuff on my agenda today. First and foremost, the shop, although there is a lot of roadworks going on here down Kotua Place in Nelson, we are open as per normal. So we're opening at 11 o'clock this morning until 4:30, and tomorrow we're open from 10 till 3. There is very, very little car parking outside. However, there's 2 side gates on each end of the building. You can drive in, park around the back, or park in Hex, the small, good German butcher's car parks as well. So he's said that we can do that while the roadwork's going on, so we really appreciate that. So feel free to park there as well. If you are in Nelson and you do want to come into the shop, if you go over to Hex and you buy anything from him and you show us the receipt that you purchased from him, we'll do you a 10% discount on anything in the shop at the same time as well. So everybody wins there. That's just a wee bit of a thank you for him for allowing us to use his car parking. So, yeah. So that's what we've got there as far as shop stuff goes. It's been a pretty cool week, actually. Earlier in the week, I put a picture up of this, and I want to show it off even more because I think it is absolutely phenomenal. Excuse my snifflies. I can't, because clearly this is in front of the camera, I can't see if it's actually showing up very well.
Yeah, no, it's crystal clear. Lift
Cool.
it up a bit.
That way?
Lift it up a little bit. Yep. Perfect.
Cool. Sweet. So about 18 months ago, we had the artist of this, Sam Scales, come on and have a wee chat to us. And so I've conversed with Sam quite a bit after the fact. And, I've basically got on commission that painting, which is absolutely phenomenal. I think it is one of the most gorgeous pieces of artwork that I've ever seen. I'm absolutely stoked with it. So that's going to be up in the shop. It's going to be sitting on the counter for everybody else to enjoy. So it's just breathtakingly cool. So if you're from around the country, it's almost worth flying into Nelson just to see it. It's that cool. So yeah. I absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah. And I have a real frontosa already, Cameron, so you don't need to be like that. I've got a tank full of them out the back already, so, yeah. I'm 2 coffees deep. The first one was really strong, so I feel like I'm just a little bit more than I normally am, so please tell me to calm down and settle down if you need me to do that. I just feel like I'm just buzzing a bit more than I normally would.
Settle down, Cam. Settle down.
Cool. So, I haven't posted it yesterday, I don't think, but we got a new line of fish food on yesterday as well. So I think we might have shown this off before, that we were sampling it or using it. So it's the tropical soft line range. So a couple months back, I went down to the supplier of this and picked up a whole bunch of stuff, and I bought these 3 containers back as samples for me to use in the shop, basically. So we've been trying it out for a couple of months, and I've really enjoyed it. I think it's a really good product. I like that the texture of the product is a little bit different to your standard pellets and stuff like that. So we also have a sample box on the counter that has a whole bunch of these. So we've had a lot of customers come and grab them and come back and give feedback that their fish really enjoyed it as well. And so customers have said that they've enjoyed the product, and I've enjoyed the product. The fish have eaten it. So I thought we'd take it on. So we've got the best part of the full range of this. I think the only one we didn't take on is the monster fish, which isn't really relevant to what we do, but all the other range we've taken on. I'm not going to be able to show you on the camera because it's just not going to work, but these are like little sticks like the Vibrobites, which I thought was quite good. So it's like a little extruded worm type of thing. So this is what I've been feeding into the cherry barb tank with the pearl gouramis, the cherry barbs, and dwarf chain lodges, as well as brine shrimp. And yeah, they've taken it really well. There hasn't seemed to have been any algae issues or anything like that come through for it. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this product and this range. So we've taken it on. There's African cichlid range, both carnivore and herbivore. The herbivore one, the ingredients on that looks really, really good. Almost sort of next level type good. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then there's an Asian mix, there's an American mix, and then there is one more as well. So
that's got quite a good price point on it as well, hasn't it? It's
a bit pricey. It's their premium range,
right.
But I think you're getting what you're paying for with it in a sense. So, like I said, I've been using these sticks. Oops, that's the wrong container. These sticks for a couple of months now on that one tank, and so it's a 100-gram container, and I've only used down to about there so far. So it seems like it's being pretty efficient and effective for me. I think they're about sort of $45 a container or something along those lines. So they're not cheap, but I think you're getting what you're paying for. But like comparatively to other fish foods, they're not that much more, if that makes sense. So particularly for a premium product.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like you said, you get more value.
Yeah, you guys have tropical over there, don't you?
We do, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah. It's in most shops over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it sits about the same kind of price range as Fish Science.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I think the generic stuff that we have. When I say generic stuff, the sort of more everyday food would be priced in around about that Fish Science Sierra sort of range, but the sort of slightly premium one is a little bit more expensive, which is, happens with more premium stuff. So yeah. Helen said she uses American small sinking pellets for most of my tanks. Yeah, pisto and dwarf chains. Yeah, dwarf cichlids. Yeah, I've found as a general rule everything seems to be pretty happy with it as well. I've got a real picky butcher here that just won't touch anything at the moment, so I've grabbed the monster fish one for him. I haven't checked this morning to see whether or not he's eaten it or not, but I'm fingers crossed he is. But everything else he's thrown in there, he's been really picky with recently. So we'll see how we go, whether or not it's taken it or not. So yeah, cool. So that's that. The month of July is the month that we do our donations to the I Am Hope Foundation. So for those of you that don't know, every single year, every July, we run a fundraising campaign, I suppose, for lack of a better term. So for every order that we put through in the month of July, we'll donate $1 to the I Am Hope Foundation. So that's the one, the foundation that's responsible for Gumboot Friday, and there was something else that they've changed from as well. So yeah, basically it's about conversations around mental health, particularly with youth. So it's a very noble cause, and it's a fantastic cause, and it's something we're very proud to be behind every single year. So yeah, every order we do for this month, we'll donate $1 for that. So that is coming to an end in about 3 days' time, I think. So if you want to get behind that, feel free to do that. I realised yesterday that we've got those free nano fish posters that are available on the website, which also registers as a order. So if you want to game the system a little bit, you could go through and buy a few of those free posters. It won't cost you a cent, and we'll still put $1 towards the donation. So yeah, everybody absolutely wins on that one. And also at the checkout of the website, we have the availability of adding a tip. So all of these tips will be donated directly to the I Am Hope Foundation as well. So if you want to add an extra $5 or anything onto your order, we'll put all that on. We'll tally it all up at the end of the month, and we'll make our donation through to that. So yeah, something very I'm very proud that we do, and it's something that is very important, I think, for New Zealanders to be involved in and helping out with. So it's also something that touches very close to my heart as well. So that's coming to an end. If you want to get amongst that, it's a really good cause.
Just in time for payday as well.
Yes. Sorry, the cold or the flu or probably COVID that I had a couple of weeks ago is still just lingering a little bit with me, but that's okay.
Let it go. You're holding on to it.
It just won't disappear. The young fella's he's cleared up, no issues whatsoever. He's running around, but it's still just lingering in my chest, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's because we're getting older.
It must be here. So the Three Idiots Talk Aquarium podcast has been released again last week. I believe the topic was overrated versus underrated aquarium topics, aquarium concepts and ideas. It was actually a really fun topic that we did. I really enjoyed recording this one. For those of you that don't know, Cameron in the chat, he is involved in the podcast as well. So I really enjoyed this one that we released earlier in the week. So you can find that on YouTube or on Spotify under the Three Idiots Talk Aquariums. John might even link to it in the chat if he can find it. So yeah. So it's a good time. Good hour or so worth of entertainment. And speaking of an hour or so's entertainment, our Aquarium Frenzy podcast is being released today. So it's one that we had with Ty Streetman. So it was a few months back now. Obviously had a few technical issues releasing podcasts and stuff, so we're a little bit behind on that. But that was a really enjoyable conversation. He had some really phenomenal stories about traveling in the wild and setting up aquascapes and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really enjoyable to speak to him. So that one is available on Spotify, and that is under the Aquarium Frenzy podcast, just to confuse everybody a little bit more. Yeah, Helen had a nasty flu 4 weeks ago. Yeah, I think there seems to be a really nasty thing hanging around that knocks people around really badly, and then it just lingers for a couple of weeks. I've spoken to a few people that have had a very similar, and they just can't get rid of the last of the cough 2, 3, 4 weeks later on. So, yeah, it's just one of those nasty things. And what's Rochelle got to say? Are you trying to become Cooler Cam so we can get confused? Who's who? I was always Cooler Cam. For anyone that decides to call themselves the coolest person, they're never the coolest person in the room. It's cool is a title that is bestowed by the people, not by the person. So take that as you want to, Cameron from the Aquarium Project. Cool. We've gone through that one. Do you want to talk about what we've got coming up, John? What we're working on?
Yes, definitely. We've been working on something completely new, something that we've spoke about for a good few months now. Just kind of coming back and forth, bouncing ideas off. And basically, it's going to involve everybody, and everyone's going to have their say and their voice will be heard and all that sort of thing. And will we tell them what's called, or we're just teasing at the moment?
You can tell them what we've loosely penciled in the name of, but we haven't quite confirmed it because it doesn't quite fit right. But yeah.
Right. Well, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to put things up for a vote, and we're going to try and identify top products within certain groups of products in a awards setup. Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah.
We broke things down into different categories. And I think we've got 7 categories altogether. One of them is slightly different from the rest of them, but it's going to be really good because it not only lets you guys get behind the products and the brands that you believe in, it also helps Cam identify what you guys like and maybe do more of as a result. So it's quite exciting. Really looking forward to starting it.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially it's, for lack of a better term, what we're calling at the moment is like a manufacturer's award.
Yes.
So we just haven't nailed a name just yet, completely, because we've decided to put in everyone's favourite local fish shop as well, which then doesn't quite equate to a manufacturer's award. But the concept basically is everyone's favourite food, everyone's favourite like filtration system, everyone's favourite, what else do we have? Water care, fish care type categories. So like, yeah, you get to vote on what you think is the best particular product or brands in these range. And then we've got like a trusted, most trusted overall brand as well. So this is very similar to like, I think it's AMI over here do an awards ceremony with that sort of stuff. Do an awards type of thing for the most trusted brands in every different category in New Zealand. So we're trying to sort of do that. I think it will be a bit of fun. Hopefully, over a few years' time, it sort of gets a little bit bigger, and there might be a little bit of validation and weight behind what we're doing, in the sense of, it's a kind of thing that everyone looks forward to every year. The importers that are bringing in, brands like Rapashi and Sarah and Tropical and all that kind of stuff. Oh, sweet, look, our brand has won this award, sort of thing. So that's kind of where the concept of what we're working on. So, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun time, and it gets everyone the ability to sort of have a say in your own thought pattern of how the products are and the stuff that we have over here in New Zealand. So, yeah, should be a good time.
What day are we launching that on, Cam?
Hold on. Mute. At this stage, not sure. It'll be sometime in August. I think we're getting pretty close to being finalised, but not close to being finalised, if that makes sense. So it'll be sometime next month. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks is when we'll be looking at making it work. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll get all the details out in a post pretty soon anyway, to give kind of a heads up.
Yeah. And Cam believes if Rapashi doesn't win, it's rigged. Well, you're going to have the ability to vote for Rapashi in the food categories. So if that's the way you feel, make sure you vote. This is probably going to be the only vote that is important this year. Ignore the election. Ignore the Rock 2000. This right here is the only votes that are going to be important this year.
Yes.
And Rochelle asked about samples. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a box of samples on the counter, so anyone who comes into the shop can grab them. If there's anything you need, if you want to put an order through, I'll chuck in some samples for you for that as well. Basically, apply that to anybody. If there's anybody that's needs any products or whatever, while I've still got samples, I'll chuck them into the packets as well, into your order as well, so we can give away a few samples, because we just got a new top up of them. So if you are looking for some samples, we can make that happen and no dramas whatsoever. Cool. I'm going to do that horrible thing that I hate. If you're not already following us, please follow us on YouTube and Facebook and all the other socials, because yay, following. Anyway, on a slightly more exciting following thing, if you're not following us on TikTok, you absolutely should. We're doing a TikTok video every day. I'm enjoying it significantly. It is worth having a look. There is a lot of behind the scenes stuff, sort of ins and outs of what it's like to run a fish store, what I do every day, all that kind of stuff. So if you're not on us on TikTok, get behind that. It's just the standard stuff, the Fish Room NZ, like it normally is. So yeah, good times. Yeah, no problem, Brian. We'll chuck in a few samples. Anything in particular you want? Do you want Asian American, African? Fire away for whatever you want, and I will make sure we get some in there for you as well. Where can I go if I want to see the replay of you singing? That was 2 weeks ago. It is available on YouTube. I think it was episode number 148 from memory. 48, yeah.
Yeah.
So, 2 or 3 weeks ago, if you want to see the replay of me singing. you're more than welcome to watch that over and over and over again. Okay, so that is the end of my list of things to talk about. My admin, if you would, needs a new ringtone. Yeah, so that's the end of my my list of things I needed to talk about. For the topic for the day, we're going to talk about the one that got away, which is clearly a metaphor. Metaphor, is that the right word? A word that's used in fishing circles, not so much fish, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So the concept is basically the fish that we've either had and died, or had to sell, or even never bought and regret sort of scenario. So, yeah. Do you want to fire away first, John?
Yeah, okay. I think obviously you leave the fish shop feeling like you want to take every one of them home. So you're always going to feel like one that you regretted. But I think on a more serious note, like there's the first fish I can remember, I've had it and I just didn't get the care for it proper. So I failed the fish and I've regretted that ever since. I've just, it's annoyed me that, because I've never seen them in fish shops. I've never seen them in the hobby. And I just, I regret letting it down. It was a Statochromis humphead. It was an African cichlid.
Oh, right, yeah. The line heads.
With a little hump. I actually had wild caught ones that Julian, a catfish keeper over here, Julian Dignall. He's the man behind Catfish Planet, or Pleco Planet, sorry. He kind of gave me some on the hope that we would get them breeding and get them into the hobby, but I didn't, and I regret it, and it just gutted me ever since.
Yeah. So are they not that common over there?
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Yeah, they're not as common as they used to be here, but they are readily available, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I think they're really cool how they skip and bounce along the bottom for moving. Yeah, they're a really cool little fish.
Yeah, they're like gobies. They look very similar to a goby.
Yeah, really, really early on in my fish keeping days, I kept a decent sized African cichlid tank. It was 5 foot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a male ice blue zebra and one of them, and they hated each other. Like they could not be in that tank together. They just would not live in the same tank. So like the ice blue would smash the hump head. So I'd take it out, recover it, put it back, head come back, and then head smash the ice blue. Like didn't matter what I did, no matter how much I changed everything, and I put them in a couple of different tanks together. It didn't matter what I do; those two could just not live in the same tank. And no matter what I tried, so I just literally had to separate them and keep them totally apart from each other. So I regret the way that I kept them. I shouldn't have been keeping them with Rift Lake cichlids. So that's on me. But young, not as knowledgeable, thinking everything can work sort of scenario. But yeah, I think they're quite a cool fish. How they interact and how they work and how they behave.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another one that I've never ever had, and I've never seen either, but it was a Crebensis, but it was one of the variants. It's the Tinnitus one, the Nigerian red.
Yeah.
Somebody in one of my old Facebook groups had one, or a pair. They were too far away for it to work logistically, but up until that point, I only thought you could have the one Crebensis. I thought there was only the one type, the Pulcher, but no. The colours on them are just, it's like a pastel version of the standard crib.
Yeah, they come in here every now and then. Redwood Aquatics down in Christchurch, they do their own importing, so they don't wholesale. So every now and then they'll bring them in. I bought a pair of them many years ago for the same reason. Oh wow, they're really nice looking fish. So they're a gorgeous fish. I think there is still a pair hanging around Nelson somewhere.
Right.
But yeah, it'd be nice if they came into the country more often. They're allowed to be here. They just don't seem to get imported. But they're a nice Crebensis for sure.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
What about yourself then? What's your biggest regret?
Absolutely selling my Frontosa. I'm going to show you my
Yeah.
picture again because
Yeah.
I take it to bed with me and I cuddle it and I cry over the picture of it because I miss him quite badly.
Mhm.
So,
And that's actually
yeah,
a painting of a picture of your fish, isn't it?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that Lieutenant Shiny Sides, he was the boss of the tank. I used to love at nighttime Frontosas. This, I don't want to say nocturnal, but because they're deep water fish, they're slightly more active when it comes to nighttime. I had the lights nice and dim, and so Lieutenant Shiny Sides actually the tank behind me that I've rebought back. He would swim from one end of the tank just real gracefully and just swim along, and then the rest of the herd would sort of follow behind him and just turn around and they'd just do laps of this tank every night, and it was absolutely phenomenal to watch. Kind of just imagine them in the wild, just gracefully, just swimming along from one place to another, really slowly and casually, and just I loved it, and that was what the moments when I really fell in love with my Frontosas. Just watching them do like that. It was very much like a herd of cows or whatever, just very gracefully, slowly, just swimming from one end, turning around, and just swimming back every single night. It was so cool to watch.
Yeah,
So,
you get the lighting right on that kind of tank, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. So yeah, I had to have him immortalized in painting, and that's why we're doing another. That's why I'm doing the Frontosa tank, which is hopefully going to live behind me, which is the tank that's sitting just on the other side of that wall. So yeah, so that is definitely one that I regretted. One of my biggest losses is I had a really big sunshine pleco, a Goldie, absolutely gorgeous. And I went away for a few days. I can't remember where I went, but it wasn't a very long trip. And I came home and that was dead. Unfortunately, there was no issues prior to leaving, and I couldn't really work out why. But yeah, it wasn't alive when I came home, and that was really, really frustrating. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful fish. It had its own spot right at the front of the tank, so that the tank was set up with lots of wood, sort of caved around, and it had found a refuge right at the front. So like you could see it every day, all day, every day.
Oh.
I thought it was hiding, but it was just in full view, and it was just the most phenomenal. It lost that black, the gold on black. It became yellow on the gold spot sort of thing. So it had really got into its full adult color. It was a beautiful fish. Absolutely loved it, and I was absolutely gutted when I came home from that trip, and it wasn't there anymore. So yeah, that's one that I've lost as far as death goes. So I chucked it in the freezer, and then I bought, I think it's a peach tree in the front of my yard, and buried it underneath the peach tree before I planted the peach tree. So
Nice.
Believe it or not, that tree is going gangbusters, and it's loving life. So yeah, I thought it was quite fitting to repurpose it, as it were. So yeah.
There's Brian. Yeah, it really is difficult when you lose a favourite fish because they're pets at the end of the day. And sometimes that's the main feature of your tank. So when that's gone, for a lot of people, they've got to restart the full tank because it's just not the same.
Doesn't feel right. Yeah. I totally feel that.
Neon blue dwarf gouramis are lovely. Yeah, definitely.
Regret not being prepared for extended power outages and losing my discus during a massive freeze. That's unfortunate. Post control issues. There's not many fish I wanted that I can't get. That's fair. I actually really often say to people when in the shop, they've come in specifically for a fish, or they've come in and they've just seen this fish that they absolutely love. And I say to them, if you leave now, you're basically going to regret it. If your tank's suitable for this fish that you've come in for and you don't buy it, you're going to go, man, why didn't I buy that? Why don't I have that with me now? Like, just basically do it. Otherwise, you will, for the best part, regret not taking it home with you and it becoming part of your family because of that reason. Like, yeah, anytime I've gone into a shop to buy something and I've decided not to, I've always had the opposite of buyer's remorse and go, man, why didn't I buy that? And it's always been in my mind. You come back half an hour later and it's gone. And you go, oh, it's gone now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always go, if you've come into a shop, any shop, to specifically buy something. If you change your mind and buy something else, or you don't buy it, you generally walk out regretful that you didn't get what you wanted to buy. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're better.
Cool. So another one that I had, I bought a Datnoid, which I absolutely love. They're the coolest fish. I didn't do enough research on it. I thought the tank was going to be big enough. It was 6 foot long, by what have you. And then I went and I saw one. I think it might have been at Hollywood Fish Farm, maybe, and how ginormous it was. I was like, oh, this fish that I've got, I don't have adequate housing for it. I thought I did, but then actually physically seeing this adult fish in real life, I was like, no, I don't think I've got adequate housing. So I ended up moving that one on for the betterment of the fish and its long-term care. But yeah, I love Datnoids for that reason. I would love to have a big enough aquarium to have a small group of them, because they are phenomenal when they get big. They're one of the few monster fish that I really, really enjoy, and they're just cool fish. Yeah.
I mean, how big a tank would you need for a small group?
Oh, I don't think I'd want to go anything smaller than sort of 3 meters or 3.5 meters, but it's all width as well. Like,
Yeah.
Because they get quite big and they need to turn. So yeah, I wouldn't have thought anything smaller than 3 foot deep would be, long term good for them with the size that they get. And that obviously opens up other options if you're going, we'll say 3 meters by 3 foot, so 3 meters by 1 meter, just roughly. That opens up all sorts of other options for like things like arowana and other proper monster fish. So yeah,
that's a monster tank.
Yeah, yeah. I think to do the proper justice, you need that. I was looking after a giant gourami for someone who was moving from one region up to Nelson, and so I had a sphere. It was 6 by 3 actually, so it was quite a deep tank, and this thing was huge, and it sort of made the tank dwarfed by the size of it. Like, I don't think Datnoids get quite as large as what those pink giant gouramis get. But yeah, this thing was huge, and it just dwarfed the tank. So yeah, that was another eye-opening moment of, oh yeah, need to do something with that. So yeah, so I really enjoyed having it for a couple of months while the people relocated. It was a cool fish.
Yeah, they are quite cool fish actually.
Yeah.
You just mentioned holding a fish for somebody, but Rochelle asked a question about holding fish. I know she's meaning it in a slightly different way. Yeah. I think what she's meaning is if somebody comes in and they're to and froing about buying that fish in store, can they buy it and you can keep it for 48 hours or?
Yeah, so as a general rule, I tend to not do that.
Okay.
In the sense of, say you want to buy XX fish, can I pay for it now and come back next week? I don't do that just in case something happens to the fish. So you paid me $20 for a fish, and for some reason it dies in that week. You're disappointed, and we've got to go through the refund process and all that sort of scenario. So as a general rule, I tend to try not to. Just as sort of a general rule as well, like if someone wants me to order in some fish for them, I'll order in, instead of, we'll just use your keyholes, for example, because I know you're looking for keyholes. Instead of ordering one keyhole, I'll order in half a dozen or 10. So just in case something happens, if you give your own call, I've got keyholes coming in for you. Great. One comes in, doesn't handle the stress of shipping, and it dies. And you're like, oh man, I thought I was getting it. So I'll buy a half a dozen or so. And then like if something happens to one or two, then there's still the availability of you having them. And so you're not being disappointed. So it's all about trying to disappoint less people and being able to provide as much joy and happiness when buying fish as possible. So I don't tend to hold fish, at least take payments for fish for that reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Plus it gives other people options to get them as well.
Yeah, like I try and buy quantities of fish at any given time, so like people don't miss out. Buy 10 German rams in one go. So like if I've got a list of things that people are looking for. So like, so give them a ring, and then I've got one here, And if someone's come in and bought 7, there's still a couple there for people. So it's just about trying to manage expectations and not disappointing people when it comes to ordering in fish and holding on to fish for people and stuff like that. So, yeah. How available are festivums? On the list that I recently looked at last week, I didn't see them, and saying that I'm not really looking for festivums. All of the supply lists come out on a Friday, normally early Friday afternoon from all of the suppliers. So if you're looking for fish, it's generally good to ask shops on the Friday afternoon, Saturday morning sort of scenario to see what's available. But I didn't see any when I look. But again, I'm not really specifically looking for festivums. I'll have a look when the lists come out, and I'll let you know if they are available. Okay, so yeah, Cam said that they are available. So there is one of the suppliers that I don't buy my fish from have them. So I'm unlikely to be able to source them for you. However, pretty much every other shop in the country will be able to source them for you if you are looking for them. So sounds like they are available. So yeah. yeah. It's a weird concept. Like I always say to people, for any kind of reclusive fish, the more hiding spots you give them, the more likely you're going to see them. So the theory being is that they know if they come out and about, and if they get startled or they think there's a predator around, they can just dart away straight away because they've got lots of hiding holes. Doesn't always work for plecos because they live their life in hiding holes as opposed to wanting to come out and being out and about. So yeah, I find that a little amusing. Clown plecos are very cool. They do make a lot of mess, but they are quite a cool little fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, Cam's saying plecos are awesome. I'm just going to bring that up on screen so I can take a wee timestamp of this, and I'm going to cut this into awesome things and make everyone know that Cam thinks that plecos are awesome. Got any other fish that are on your one that got away list?
Off the top of my head, that's the only two I can think of. I mean, obviously we've got unicorn fish, countless plecos that I would love to get my hands on, or I've never ever had any of the phantom plecos, and every time I'm in, I'm always like, I should buy that now because they're not always in, but they are always in every time I go there, and I talk myself out of buying it and then regret it when I walk out. So it's a constant cycle.
Yeah. How much are they over there?
Anything between £40 to £60, depending on.
Really reasonable. So that would equate to about $120 New Zealand, give or take. You're roughly half, or we double. Yeah. So they retail over here for anywhere between $250 and $350.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, some of them are a bit more, obviously, kind of the extra special ones, but that's an average price.
Yeah. So I obviously follow a few various fish shops over there, and it seems to be like Pure Aquatics, for example, they'll have like 30 of them in at one time.
Yeah, for about 48 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, then they go. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want catfish, Pure Aquatics is the place to go. That's like the top
most shops in New Zealand will sort of carry one or two at a time. They don't carry those big numbers. I'm assuming because they're quite an expensive fish, and people aren't, often willing to drop $300 on a fish just because they can. Although I think they're worth it. But yeah, a little bit different. 40, 50 pounds.
Yeah, Pure kind of offer a lot of pre-sales, so they're pre-ordered. Right. So they're coming in and they've got a number. So they're probably buying about 60 of them and then putting 40 out in the shop front, and the rest are going pre-order.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've had groups of blue phantoms and green phantoms, and I had 3 of each at one stage. Had basically a big tank full of plecos, various plecos. I shouldn't have mixed a lot of them. Again, young and learning a little bit more. I had blue phantoms, green phantoms, cactus, gold nuggets, and the sunshine plecos all in together. And some royals. So the tank was very, very wood based.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole base, like this, pretty much was just a layer of wood at the bottom. Oh, bloody coughing! It was just like a big layer of wood at the bottom. So there's lots of nooks and crannies for them all to find their own home and stuff like that. And everything was comfortable. And I think I had maybe a couple of Oscars up the top or something like that. I can't quite remember now, but it was based on the plecos. Shouldn't have had them all mixed together because of all the different feeding requirements and stuff like that. But again, I didn't care. I wanted them all. It was like Pokemon. I caught them all. So I really enjoyed that. And there were some pretty big ones in there, and obviously took a lot of photos when getting them and then moving them all on, and watching the royal plecos just rasp all the wood and change the whole shape of it was really, really cool. What wasn't really cool was having to clean out my filter every couple of days because they are so incredibly messy. It's not funny. So
they are.
As much as I love royal plecos, I probably won't ever own them again just for that reason alone. So
yeah, that's the thing. I think one or two to a tank's enough.
Even then, I don't know. Like I had a couple of small ones in the shop 18 months ago or something like that, and the amount of sawdust that they left was just phenomenal for the size that they were. Like I was happy when they left because that cut the maintenance down by about an hour every day. Just phenomenal. Cool. What do we got? Anything in the chat to bring up? Love to get an Oscar, but they need a large tank, heater, and sand. And I need to be careful not to upset it. Oscars are very cool. You can liken them like a puppy, pretty much. So if you want a really nice, interactive fish, they're definitely one of them. And there's some pretty cool Oscars hanging around at the moment. I'm personally really fond of the albino lemons. So I don't like the albinos that get like that weird little black smudges on them. Like they've got to be properly white with the yellow on them, which don't seem to come in all that often. But I think that those proper albino lemons are a really nice looking Oscar. They would easily be one of my favorite.
Quite striking.
And if not, then your standard tiger Oscar would be the way I'd go. I think they offer more than the red Oscars, which is just obviously the plain red. I think those tiger patternings are just give you a little more interaction and viewing fun. So, yeah. You're kind of right when it comes to albino and genetics to an extent. Albino corridoras, for example, are a very strong fish, but other albinos not so much. Albino cremensis, very strong fish. But as a general rule, albino don't tend to be the strongest fish around. Yeah. Got some NLS Algae Max gel. I think it was 1 teaspoon or one part powder to 3 parts water from memory. For that, if you're a little bit light on the water, it turns it not soggy. The opposite of soggy, like quite a dry mix. And obviously, if you go too heavy, it goes a bit soggy. But I think it's 3 to 1 or 1 to 3 from memory. I very much enjoy that NLS Algae Max gel. I fed some more out yesterday around the shop. It's a pretty good product, and I really do like the ingredients based on that. So, I'm sure your fish will enjoy that. So yeah, I've got no more stuff on my list of things. So,
do you guys get rope fish?
No, we do not. Yeah.
I remember having one of them a long time ago, and it was one of the most entertaining fish I've ever had. Challenging to keep it in the tank, but I thought they were really cool, and I would love to have one again. But having open top tanks, I wouldn't even attempt it now. But they were really cool. They were like a more mellow version of a Bashir.
Oh yeah,
I mean, some of them probably go about that long, but the orange bellies underneath were really nice.
Cool.
And just the way they would stock their prey, like their dinner and things, it was really cool.
Yeah. So the Juruparis, they're the ones with the really longer, elongated faces from memory. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got like the little nostril type.
Yeah.
Almost like bristles.
Yeah, I don't mind geos, but I'm a little bit stuck on the Sunamensis, or however you pronounce it. I think they're quite a gorgeous looking fish, especially when they get older and they really mature and they kind of sparkle and they get those gorgeous reds and yellows and greens and stuff through them. I think they're a beautiful fish. I would be easily tempted to set up a tank for them if I ever had space, because I think they're beautiful when they get bigger. Yeah. I know there's actually a guy down here that's setting one up at the moment who's doing the geos with corridors from memory, so that'll be quite a mix. So
yeah,
see how that goes for him. Another one of those fish that you need a good size aquarium for. So
because they do better in groups as well, which kind of makes them
a bit more difficult. But nothing a big fish tank can't fix.
Yeah, there's no excuse. Can always get a bigger tank. Until you run out of bigger wall. I mean, geophagus are very similar to micro geophagus. Obviously, they come from the same family, but the fact that you can keep them in groups makes them so much more entertaining.
Yeah, I think they're cool fish.
Yeah.
So, off to again. Happy birthday to Helen. 60 years. Well done. Does that warrant a happy birthday song for everybody in the group chat, or does that just warrant a happy birthday, Helen? I hope you have a fantastic day.
Happy birthday, Helen.
Happy birthday, Helen. I hope you have a great day. That would be the 30th, if I'm not incorrect. So, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Any other plans for the weekend then, Cam?
Me? Trying not to come into work on Saturday, but I probably will. Actually, I'm very likely to come in on Saturday. I've got to move the 2 racks in the corner, because on Monday my builder's coming in and chucking up the stands and everything for those 40-odd tanks that are sitting on the pallets. So today and probably tomorrow will be a relatively busy day for me when it comes to that. So that's pretty much it. My beloved Warriors have got to bye, so I'm not riding the emotional roller coaster of watching my football team play this weekend, unfortunately. So, yeah. Although we're doing really well. We're sitting in 3rd at the moment. So,
nice.
Yeah, the season's nearly over, so it looks like we're playing playoffs, and my gosh, I love the Warriors. So how good are the Warriors? So, yeah. Ooh, what have we got here for a suggestion from Michelle? Oops, wrong button. Yeah. I would find helpful as a list of fishes that benefit from heights with the tanks and fishes that benefit from length. Cool. I think the fish height one would be quite a short list, as most fish prefer length and width. But that makes a bit of sense. It'd be quite a big project to do something like that. No, I will not be watching FIFA. I do not like football of any description, so I won't be watching that. I do obviously hope that the New Zealand team goes really well, because New Zealand after all. But yeah, I've got zero interest in watching it. If there was any games in Nelson, I would probably go just to experience that. But as far as watching games of football, I have zero interest, and I've never.
Does New Zealand have a football team?
Does New Zealand? Gosh, you're talking about the team that went through a World Cup without losing a game and still didn't make the playoffs because we didn't win a game either. But yes, New Zealand. We've got the white ferns and the football ferns. So yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
And that is the joy of sport, Helen. you can love football as much as you want. I'm not going to watch it, just like you're unlikely to watch the Warriors, and I'm going to watch every single second and every single replay and all the highlights packages and everything else. So that's the joy of sport, much like the joy of fish keeping. I don't have to like a fish, and you can love a fish, and you can have it, and I won't. So that's, I think that's the joy of it all. But yeah, I do hope that the New Zealand team does well, because New Zealand. But no, I won't be watching any of the FIFA. It's not for me. Good morning, Maxie. I hope you are well and dandy. So yeah, I don't have much more. We've been nearly cranking along for an hour. So if you haven't yet, please do that like thing, do that follow thing, do that subscribe thing. I can't remember what guests we've got coming up next week off the top of my head. I have looked at the list the other day, but I forgot who it was. So I can't even tease who's got coming up. Have you got the list open?
I will do in a second.
Yeah.
Right.
Got
James Sheen.
Yep. Cool. Yep. So he's the Blackwater enthusiast as well. So if you're into that kind of thing, you should enjoy that.
Yeah.
So thanks.
We'll do the chat again.
So that'll be a fun time with James next week. I'll confirm that with him after we get off this. So as long as he's still good to go, that'll be who we've got for next week. So if you've got any questions when it comes to, again, botanicals and Blackwater, might be a slightly different approach to I'm having a real blank today.
Yeah, and James is also he used to be really into his aquascapes until he discovered Blackwater, and then he never went back.
That's fair, cool.
So if you've got any questions about plants in general as well, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer that. So
cool. How far away? Because he's in Europe as well. So
he's in the UK.
UK, yeah.
Yeah, he's about he's in Hampshire, which is down near the bottom of England, down at the bottom of the UK. So he's about 8 hours driving.
Because England's not that big, is it? As far as land mass goes, it's quite small.
Yeah. I think it's not much smaller. Well, it's smaller than the North Island, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Not by much.
Yeah, because it takes me 5 hours to drive to Christchurch, which is 400 kilometres away or something along those lines. And that's about halfway down the South Island, give or take. Granted, it's hilly and it's up and down and lots of stuff like that. So,
for me to drive from Edinburgh, which is in Scotland, obviously, down to London is 8.5 hours.
Okay.
If I want to drive north from Edinburgh, it's about 9 hours to the end. So it's about 16 hours driving top to bottom of the UK.
Right. Yeah. So you're almost spot on in the middle, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sweet. Well, I hope everyone's enjoyed this riveting geography chat. 4 spawns are better on the go. Well, I think what you need to do there, Maxie, is if you're worried about the space, I think you need to rent a warehouse and begin commercially breeding betters. How does that sound? Is that a good option? Okay, so I kind of feel like we're just rambling on now and jibber-jabbering for no real reason. So maybe there's time to pull pin on today's stream. So thank you, everybody who has joined us. Don't forget the shop is open 11 till 4:30 today, 10 till 3 tomorrow here in Kotua Place. Equally, you can shop online at thefishroom.co.nz anytime that you wish. And for the next few days, we're donating $1 to the I Am Hope Foundation with every order that we put through. So that also includes the free nanofish poster. So if you want to game the system and make a donation and not costing you a cent, get amongst that as well. So, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, jump onto TikTok and follow us there because that is a real fun time. Other than that, I think we're going to be out. So, Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Take it easy.
Have a good one. Happy fish keeping. Catch you later.
Bye.